because I know what God has done in my life. I know my faith, and it always happens. It always happens. Always. So it's just a matter of time that the rotten fruits will fall from the tree before the tree is revealed to be not good. And anyway, there's that word again. I'm trying to stay away from that. And a few others. But after that deal, I knew to let up, so I let up, and there was some time apart there too, a little bit. It was actually, she needs time to process or whatever. And women do think different than men. Not all, but in general, I think women and men, their brains work a little bit differently. And I believe there's men that are more feminine, or have more, understand feminine thoughts more, and there's women that understand masculine thoughts more than, so it's got to give and take everywhere, just like there's good and bad in all races and all that kind of stuff. So then things were going really well again. We were spending our normal time hanging out and stuff, and I let her know, I've done a little pushing here and there, and every time I'm pushing, I'm pushing with what I believe is her best interest in mind, to help her heal from whatever, and for her to have the best life possible. I do. I never want her. All I want to do is I want her to be happy and have a good life, and not have to go through any of the crap she's went through throughout her past. Anyway, that dang word snuck in there. So I'd let her know last time we were hanging out that I was going to start doing some pushing again, just to kind of forewarn her, so she could kind of be a little ready, so it didn't catch her off guard. And she could tell just by the way I said it, this was going to be a little more intense pushing than I've normally done. I don't know, maybe sometime I'll get into my pushing later, what it was all about, but I don't want to share too much of that, because it's somebody else's world, Anyway, so she got a little snippy with me after a while. It must have already, not right away, she just kind of was soaking it in. And I picked her up one day, and I think it must have been, I don't know what all was going on in the world, but she got pretty kind of snippy with me, and she very rarely gets snippy with me. I think she's only been snippy with me in probably about almost heading towards 50 years of knowing her, but 40 some years of knowing her. She's probably gotten snippy with me maybe 3 times in her life. And she got snippy. And when I picked her up one day, I was shocked. And I was like, you want me to just bring you back home? She's like, yeah. I'm like, all right. I don't like that because I love spending time with her. So I finished the loop and stopped back to drop her back off. I knew she was ornery, but I was like, well, can I get a half a hug, to say goodbye or whatever? And she was like, no. And I was like, for real? And she was like, yeah. I was like, all right, see you later. And I was kind of hurt, because it kind of hurt my feelings a little bit, She was, it was almost like she was trying to punch me because she was mad or something. And so she kind of got out of the hamper with a little bit of an attitude, It's okay, because she's a human being. We all are, But I had a little bit of snippy in me now too, because of how the communication went down. So I stepped a little over the line where I shouldn't have, probably. But that's because I was feeling hurt by the way I was being treated, So when she got out, I was like, hurry up, shut the door. Just to kind of needle a little. And she shut the door. And I drove off, We've talked since, and she's come and visited me in the camper and stuff, So it's taken her a little while to come back around. It's hard for her to talk about feelings or show her feelings. So she's got her guard up all the time. She's got those walls all around. But and I know she'd come around because I know she cares about me and loves me and stuff, and likewise. But I can't wait till I get to spend more time with her again. Of course, I can't afford it right now, really. Then I've told her that when she's wanted me to go, we like walking together in the parks and stuff. We'll do like 3 mile or more walks with each other and stuff, hanging out, talking. 20 to 22 miles away from where I stay, and I just can't, and this thing burns gas compared to her little SUV. I just can't afford all that fuel, and I ain't got income anyway, so I just tell her, I can't afford it, but you're more than welcome to head over here, and we can go walking in town here, around the lake, or to the park, or whatever, and she can't really afford it either, so, but right now it's just mainly been text communication. I think she's kind of might be isolated again a little, maybe, I don't know, who knows, but I do look forward to when everything's better and I get to spend a little more time with her here or there. But right now, I'm sticking to what God is guiding me to do, and it's gonna all work out well. I don't even know how long I've been talking. I'm gonna stop this and start again just so I got a split spot, okay? Now, I don't know if this will be back to back in the video where I split it, but that way, at least when I go to editing, I ain't gotta wait for the whole thing to load or whatever. I can just see a cut mark or whatever, So I just stopped recording and started recording again just to make that split there. So far, thank goodness, I forgot to pray like I normally do. So I'm talking to the camera. Sorry, Lord. I normally always ask God, and I ask you right now, Lord, in front of the camera. Give me a safe journey. Have everything go well. Get me there safe. Not have no critters or accidents or nothing like that. I really appreciate that, Lord. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. 100%. So, I'm going to go back to the camera now, Lord. Hey, back to the camera talking. So, I talk to God a lot, just like that. And there's times that I, I'll pray. Like when I was a kid, I got to talk to kneel by my bed before I pray and put my hands together. I pray like that sometimes too. But when I'm in my daily life moving around, I talk to God a lot, just like I just did. And sometimes I'm a little more voicey, a little more pissy sometimes if I'm really having a rough time. I don't really scream at him, not like I did in my book story. Because when that deal happened in my book story, man, I was laughing, crying, singing songs, but I was really frustrated with life, man. I was even screaming out F-bombs, into the sky, He showed me though. There's no tricking him. I just hope everything's good on the roads here, because it's a single lane for quite a ways too, so sometimes I get some impatient people riding up behind me on the camper, because I'll go the speed limit or slower. And it's winter, you don't know when you're gonna have a slippery spot. And this is my house, I can't afford to slide in the ditch or roll this thing or something, So I gotta go slower. And sometimes I think people understand it and they'll just pass by. Sometimes people pass by and blare their horn, or give you a dirty look. As long as they get by me safe and no one gets hurt, I'm okay. Even if they're ornery or honking or angry or sticking up fingers or something, I normally just always, if it's somebody that seems ornery or upset, I just ask the Lord to bless them and keep them safe, so they're staying focused on the road more rather than being ornery. It's actually kind of cool because of the foggy haziness and all the rain and mist we had. I got to really be careful now because the temperature's dropping down. So any of the rain and mist we have might start freezing on the road, which is scary. And you don't want to find out that the road's slippery after you're already sliding. Scary stuff. That's happened to me before. That area didn't look good. That was a whole shattered ice area. It was probably semi-truck or something. Probably hit a bump and roof ice probably shattered and slid off like it happened to me that one night. It scared me. It sounded almost, made me think one of my solar panels shattered out. It was so scary for how loud it was. turn this camera, well, I don't know if I can turn it around while I'm driving here. We'll see if we can get a little view of the other way. There, we'll see that for a minute. I'll try talking while it's filming that way. Oh, it's kind of, oh, I forgot a roundabout up here. I don't know how the focus is going to be because that little flower globe thing that this camera mount thing is attached to it, I'm kind of gripping onto. I'll give you a little drive-in view for a minute coming down into the valley here. And I'll either edit it out unless I keep talking about some good stuff. But if I could talk about good stuff while you're seeing the scenery on this run, it might be kind of different rather than my normal old looking at me kind of a deal. And I hope the audio's coming out good on this. See, now that the camera's aiming forward, the microphones will focus on what's in front, so it'll be picking up my voice bouncing off the windshield or something. And I don't have my wireless mic hooked up on me right now, my blabber mic or whatever, so something I could think about for future filming if I know I'm going to turn the camera around. So hopefully this audio is coming out well. I wonder if it's the little misty white frosty stuff is showing on all the trees as good as my eyes can see it. Because if it is in the camera, it'll look pretty. It's prettier when it's snow and it really stands out. But the frost is pretty on the tree limbs too. So now I'm going to start frustrating people because we're going 45 and 55. Should have this pretty well salted, you know. I mean, it's a common route, so I would think that it's pretty well salted. But I can't help it, you know. When you're driving your house down the road, you get a little overly intense or adrenaline rushed or whatever, and especially after you've slidden in it. I have had this camper start sliding sideways on a downhill, big steep downhill bend, and I had to let off the brakes. There was no slowing down. It was so icy, and when I hit the brakes, this thing started going to slide sideways, so I didn't have no choice but to let off the brakes, and so the tires could roll so I could steer. And then I'd try to hit the brakes a little bit to slow me down, but every time I hit the brakes, I'd start sliding sideways, so I'd have to let off the brakes again, you know. So I'd slide sideways, let off the brakes so it could roll. I'd straighten it out and start picking up speed again. Then I'd try to hit the brakes and start sliding. Oh my gosh, that's probably one of the scariest things that's ever happened to me driving a vehicle. Well, I don't know, I've had some scary things on motorcycles too. I've actually hit a Cadillac on my Goldwing and totaled out my Goldwing, and I went sailing through the air. I went through, this Cadillac took a left turn right in front of me because there was a van on the left side of me. It was 2 lanes each way. So because of the van on the left side of me, they didn't see me. And they were coming the opposite way, and they were taking a left turn at the intersection. So they turned left right in front of me, and blang, I just drilled right into the side of their Cadillac. I went through the windshield of my Goldwing, and I watched as my front wheel like bent, and front fork bent and turned sideways and crumbled up into my motor because I was holding on so tight. And the front wheel bent, front forks bent to the left and up into my motor as my handlebars kind of stayed straight or went to the right because I was holding on so tight. And then I just went right through my windshield, over, as I was busting through the windshield, I went over to Cadillac and I flipped through the air. And I'm going to pause right in the process of that now. What happened in my mind as I was keep going to hit the car, at the time I was young and I was in my 20s. And my license was revoked for failing to pay parking ticket fines or whatever. So I knew there was a warrant because I didn't pay those tickets, and my license was revoked. So I knew I was probably going to go to jail. And I was supposed to get my license reinstated the next day, and I was on my way to work, you know. But I didn't have time I had to drive to work to keep working, you know. And so as I'm the first things that went through my mind, you know, because they say your life flashes before your eyes and stuff like in a situation like that. Well, the first thing that flashed through my mind as that, well, it probably was old crap, you know, or something like that when that Cadillac cut in front of me. But I just thought, first thing I thought was, well, now I'm probably never going to get my license back. And then as it was like impacting of that, I thought of my daughter, and I thought, I have to live through this somehow, you know, because I could have died easily. But then I thought, I got to live through this. And then I thought of my karate master telling me to be in the now, which means be aware of everything that's happening to you. Don't get all daydreaming. That's how people get in car accidents and stuff. And it wasn't that I was daydreaming, it's just somebody just cut right in front of me. But in that split second, all this happened in my mind. And after I thought I wasn't, now I'll never get my license back, and because of the whole situation. And then I thought of my daughter, and I got to live. Then I thought of my karate master, thinking be in the now. So right in that moment of being in the now, I just tuck rolled and I tucked into myself as I was going through the windshield over the Cadillac. And as I tucked, as I was getting launched forward, I did a somersault in the air. I think I only did one, but I don't know, maybe I did 2 or 3, I don't know. But I just know I was kind of flying forward, and I did a tuck roll, and there was a school bus that was going to come out on the right and take a right the direction I was heading. And they were stopped at the light there. So it was a red light for them. And I flipped through the air, and as I landed right in front of the school bus, and I just extended out, and I landed on my feet in a front karate stance right in front of that school bus. And when I landed, I felt my whole spine just compact like an accordion, you know, and I could hear the crushy, squishy in my body, and I didn't break bones, but it was like every one of my vertebrae in my spine were like a shock absorber. And I just stood there for a brief moment in shock, and I'm sure after I thought about it after the fact, all the little kids on that school bus were probably like, wow, look at that guy, you know. That wasn't me. I was thinking, what the heck just happened? And I turn around, and my motorcycle, I see it in the street all in pieces and stuff. And I see my stereo tape deck off in the distance, and I had a cassette in there that I really liked the music on. I didn't want to lose that, so I ran over, picked up my stereo, ejected the tape and put it in my back pocket, and threw the stereo back on the ground because I knew it was, you know, I was stressed out, whatever. I don't know why I threw it on the ground. But I just got my tape out. Then I went back over to my motorcycle because it was blocking the intersection. And I'm thinking, you know, everybody's got to get to work. My motorcycle's slowing everybody down. So I grabbed my Goldwing and I tried picking it up, and I just started dragging it from the intersection, trying to get it over to the street corner out of the way so traffic could keep going. And I'm yanking and pulling, dragging this big old full-dressed motorcycle. And the people that turned in front of me, it was there's 4 people at least in the car, and they were all dressed in white, head to toe, because they worked at a nursing home or whatever. So I'm bleeding because I'd split my chin open and stuff, and my chest and stuff, and I could see, and I'm trying to drag my motorcycle away. People are trying to grab me, telling me, you know, stop, lay down, you know. And I can switch this back now. There we go. Look it back to me. Come on. I'll turn that a little bit. There we go. I can tighten it back up. So, I can see some of the excitement on me reliving this story. See, after I'm pulling that motorcycle back, they're all grabbing me, saying, stop, lay down, long. And I'm looking at all these people, and they're all in white. And I looked down at myself, and I've got blood all over me and everything, and I thought maybe I died or something, because they were all in white. I thought maybe they're all angels. And then they're trying to get me to lay down, and I know that because you're probably worried about back injury or neck injury or something. And across the street, I could see a payphone hanging on the outside of the diner that was there in St. Paul on 7th Street. It's corner 7th and Payne. Can't think of the name of the diner now. Eastside Diner or something, maybe, I don't know. And when I see that payphone, I thought, I gotta call work. You know, there's no way I'm going to work right now. I'm gonna make it to work at the moment anyway. So I break loose from these people that are trying to get me to lay down, run across the street, and I pull quarters out or something. Almost because I put money in the payphone, call my work, and got my supervisor on the phone. And he said, "What's up, Darren?" And I said, "Well, I just want to let you know I'm probably not going to make it into work today." And he's like, "Why? What's going on?" And I said, "Well, I was in a motorcycle accident." And he said, "What, is it bad?" I said, "Yeah, it's pretty bad. My bike blew into a bunch of pieces." And I said, and I tried saying, "But I gotta go," because the ambulance was already there, and the paramedics were grabbing me and pulling me away from the phone. So as I'm saying, "I gotta go," that was weird. I felt like I was on sliding there and I put on the brakes. It scared me. My brakes should be fine. I just had them already done. I don't like when that stuff happens, especially in Minnesota winter weather. Or not Wisconsin winter weather now. Anyway, so I'm glad it's 2 lanes right now. I can let people pass me. So yeah, so then paramedics, they pulled me got me on a stretcher, got me in the ambulance, and they seen my bike, my motorcycle, just, like I said, the front tire had forks bent left and went up with the motor, and it almost looked like it didn't even have front forks. and there was pieces of it all over the road and everything, and they just kept telling me, you should be dead, because of how bad my bike was. And I said, I'm still kind of euphoric because of everything that's going on. I'm sure my adrenaline was still pumping. And I'm like, well, quit saying that. I'm alive and I want to stay that way. And I started joking around with them. And matter of fact, at the time, back then I was checking out into Amway too. And I don't know if anybody knows what Amway is. But they had different health products and different products you could buy and sell and stuff. Some people call it pyramid scheme, Amway would argue, But it was kind of interesting, and I got to meet people doing that too. That was before I got really super comfortable talking to people. I was still a little more shy then. But it was coming out of me more and more. Anyway, it was coming out pretty good when I was with those paramedics because my adrenaline was pumping. And so they bring me to the hospital. I tried selling Amway in there while they were trying to work on me, and they couldn't believe it because they all kept saying I should be dead because they couldn't believe my bike, how it had blown apart into so many pieces and the way it was all contorted and stuff. And God was with me there. I tell you, good Lord, He saved me a lot of times with crazy stuff, And so by the time I get down to the hospital, the police have already, ran my plate or realized I have a warrant for unpaid tickets. They didn't have to do what they did, but they did. They were kind of sad. In the hospital, in the emergency room, the cops came in there and they handcuffed me to my hospital bed. My hospital bed was an emergency room, so probably so I wouldn't run away. So then, which meant I was going to jail after they were done stitching me up. Because I wasn't bad enough I had to stay in the hospital. I guess if I would have thought about it, if I was really scared about going to jail, I could have whined and cried more like I couldn't move or something. But that ain't me. I'm just, hey, if this is the situation I'm in, I'll deal with it. I got to. And anyway, so of course they notified. I called my mom, or somebody called my mom. I can't remember. Maybe I got to call her from the hospital while I was in the hospital bed or something like that. Let her know that I was fine, in case somebody called her or something. That I was fine, but couldn't need some stitches and stuff. I think I got like 3-4 stitches in my chin, and I took cuts on my chest, but they weren't bad enough for stitches. They weren't deep enough or whatever. Anyway, my poor mom, she come down there, takes me in my bloody clothes, my ripped up shirts and stuff. And of course, they cut some stitched me up. Well, and that story there, I guess. They stitched me up, and I went to jail, and like, my mom paid my fine or whatever, and then a bail, and then the bail I had to go to court for the unpaid parking tickets or whatever. I don't know if it was a parking ticket or speeding ticket, I can't remember that time. But it was an unpaid ticket, you know, and that's why it had turned into a warrant and why my license got revoked, because I kept putting it off and putting it off. So, well, anyway. So then, of course, you go to court, and then they minus your fine out of your bail, which the way the system works, they pretty much just take your bail. Oh, that's how much it's going to cost. Oh, plus you're going to need an extra $50, you know. By the way, yeah, so that goes. Yeah, how's that experience? I didn't know I was going to tell that story. Another part of my life from the past. So it's just me being me. And another one of my stories that God was there to help me. You know, 'cause that was an ugly crash, man. You know, a lot of people would have died in that crash, or maybe ended up paralyzed or something. I don't know. But grace of God, and thanks to my master too for the training that I had. Thanks to my daughter for being in my mind that I knew I needed to stay alive and think my way through it. And then I thought of my karate master. I don't know how it all worked, but it just worked out great, man. And I wish somebody would have had it on film. And then I wish they would have also been filming the kids' faces on that school bus. Because I'm sure they would have just like, wow. The scary spot of the road right here, they had to patch it, and it sinks down on the right. There's a big ditch off on the right. I don't know if you can't see it. I don't know. But the road's raised up, you know, a good 15 feet or something probably. And 10 feet for sure. Maybe probably 15 in some areas, maybe 20 in others. But that spot, I found out just this last year. I was talking to somebody about that spot on the road coming this way. How I try to get to the center lane more, especially if I don't have traffic coming, to get away from that spot, because it really draws you over. And when you're in a camper that's got top heavy weight, you really feel it pull you over. You know, it's kind of creepy, especially if the roads are bad or slippery or that intense. So you start white knuckling the steering wheel a little more.